She is going for testing because she might have symptoms. So we're not sure. One more tonight or first thing in the morning because we're doing usually 2 tests. So, but kept her out of here today. So.
Yeah. If she's clear, she'll be all good to go on the trip.
Yeah, she's clear. Yeah.
Yes, sir. When you went and watched film, I'm curious, what stood out to you about the defensive effort last night? What did you or the other night? What did you like about that?
I thought we were locked in from the start about individual personnel, taking them away from their strengths. I thought that was particularly good. I thought that other than one little stretch in the first half where I thought we let their guards get some offensive rebounds, that we did a good job on the boards. But I just felt we made them feel uncomfortable for most of the game. We've got a team that's still in the 40s with a couple of minutes to go. You've done a pretty good job. But I just think we were locked in and we talked, if they, for example, like Alicia Parks guarding Ryan Howard, but they're setting the screen to get her open. We were alert to call the screen, to help on the screen, to switch it if we got in trouble. I just thought we were really pretty connected defensively the other night. There's still some things I thought we could get better at, I think, but for the most part, we were pretty locked in.
Speaking of locked in, it seemed like you guys were really locked in on Ryan. After seeing her and seeing what she did in that first half of the game, was that a little bit more of a? I mean, I don't know if you.
I don't
more
even know.
Of a focal point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think we weren't locked in the first game. I think first of all, she got free for about a 2-minute stretch in that game. She got all of her points in the first quarter, and most of them in a 2.5-minute stretch. She didn't get them early. She got them in the middle of the quarter. We had subbed. It's the first time you've played a team early in the season, and they've got a couple new plays in. And so now I think that after you've played a team once, you also know what's coming a little bit more. When you play somebody the first time and they've had 4 days like they did back then to put in new stuff, I think you just make adjustments. But basically, after that first quarter, she scored 4 points in the last 7 quarters. So to me, we're just a little bit. It wasn't that we weren't focused. It's just and she made, I think, 3 of those shots in that first game. Well, 2 of them with a hand in her face, and the other one we bailed her out on a foul, and she got 3 points at the free throw line on a foul. So, and that's not to disparage her. It's just that I think our defense was really good.
Like last year, you guys didn't really have a chance to be involved in the Commissioner's Cup at all with the injuries and everything going around. Has that been a conversation at all between the coaching staff of where you guys are positioned and maybe playing towards that?
No, I don't. I mean, I think the players probably do because there's a lot of money involved. There's not been extra emphasis put on that because basically what we do is focus on whatever the next game is. And sometimes we have to even say to ourselves, oh, yeah, this happens to be a Commissioner's Cup game, because you forget, that, oh, yeah, this is a conference team and it's the first time we played them and, that kind of thing. I think as we get a little bit farther into it, another week or two, like we're playing a bunch in a row right now. We have Atlanta, we have Connecticut, we have Indiana, we have New York, Chicago again, all that. So they're all Commissioner's Cup games in that regard. But, up until now, we really haven't said much about it. They know what's at stake. But, the ultimate goal is to win as many games as you can, no matter what.
And with Elena, and how has that communication been with her on deciding games that you guys want to sit her out, get her some rest? Look like
we have that decision pretty much what we're doing 3 weeks ago. We made 1 or 2 adjustments. She's not going to go this weekend, but then she'll be able to play in Indiana and play against New York. And we're still deciding on which of the games the following week she's going to sit. That's a conversation we'll have in the next 48 hours or so. But we have this, and we have a general plan for the next 3 weeks, but there's 1 game in there. We're deciding which one of the 2 she should play.
And Tuesday was another game for Eric to get his head coaching boots going.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did a terrific job. I think the hardest part for our team right now is subbing with the minutes restrictions and, the different people. And, we had a good discussion before that game of what it would look like, and I thought we did a good job. But it's hard, it's actually easier to sub in an NBA game with it being 48 minutes. When it's a 40-minute game, it makes it a little bit tougher. And, you can't play everybody and trying to find that right balance. It won't be as tough on Saturday if Elena and Alicia both don't play. They're all playing, so it's a little bit easier to figure that out. But like I said, a while back, there's going to be nights where, a good player doesn't play much. And they have to accept it if they want to win. And we'll figure it out as we go. But we need everybody at some point.
Hey, Coach, curious with you watching the game compared to coaching it, is little things you noticed or like just talk about that experience?
Well, my poor wife was in the other room and hearing me yell. She thought we were losing the way I was yelling at the TV about do this or do that or block out or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be thinking about, other things. You're not having to think about calling the next play or doing this, so you can watch some other things, maybe in a bird's eye view of some things. The other part of it is you're not watching it at playing level. You're watching it from up above like you would, if you're scouting a game. And so you can see maybe some things develop on the weak side that you might not see while the game's going on, but you have a different view of it. So you're taking notes from that standpoint.
And also, when you look at that game at Atlanta, from a defensive point, it was just a masterclass. Is that something you envisioned early back in the season? Does that be a key point of a game? Like, this is how strong our defense can be? Yeah,
I mean, I think that, we got some pretty big challenges ahead of us, and we didn't answer completely against Chicago, but I thought against Chicago, we lost more because of our offense than our defense. We held them to 78 points. But I see where we can be, and our defensive ratings in the league show us where we are. But I think it can be better. But it's certainly along the lines of what we envisioned.
And Shakira's been coming out really strong. Just your thoughts on her last couple of games.
Well, I think, she plays, she's a very confident player. I mean, we liked that when we were going through the process about drafting her. We felt we were drafting a young player who believed in herself and believed in what she could be. And she's lived up to that.
One more from me. I want to ask about Kennedy real quick. How much of a help has she been? She seems to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a wing player who's 6'1" that can play 2, 3, 4. And, we're probably going to have to play her at 4 sometimes. And so I think that she's come in and fit right in with this group. She's an aggressive player. She doesn't lack confidence, which I like. And defensively, she really fits what we're trying to do because a lot like Natasha and Alicia, she can switch and she can guard different positions. She's been switched on the point guards and she's guarded post players. And having that ability is a huge benefit.
Coach, what are you looking forward to when it comes time for going up against a team like Connecticut? They're going to be bringing a different style to go up against you all. So what are you looking forward to with that?
It's kind of a test to see where we are. And to your point, it is a different kind of team. It's a huge team physically. You're talking about somebody like Alyssa Thomas being a point forward. Juana Bonner is big for a wing player. She's got post player size and bringing a really, really good player off the bench now in Brianna Jones, who would start for almost anybody else. That's a really, deep team in the post. Without Jasmine Thomas, it's a little bit, they're going to have to adjust and figure out some different ways to play. But that's a veteran team who's used to winning.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Zoom for Jen.
Hey, Coach, did the offer to pay for any Eric technical fouls still apply this time around?
No. He's on his own.
And then just kind of wanted to ask you,
I got one other comment about it. Everybody talked about that's his first win. No, he got me back one of the 2 that he took from me last year. No, I'm just kidding. They all go on my record. So everybody's talking about, I got a free win. Well, I got 2 free losses last year.
Sounds like you guys can sort that out at the dinner table.
Yes.
So just looking at the season as a whole, you guys are 6-2 with players coming in and out like crazy. How do you kind of evaluate the start of the season so far? What have you learned about your team?
I'm learned that we are fairly versatile. We have people you can plug in and out in different positions, and they understand the importance of that. I think they understand how good we can be defensively. I think they know that even though we're shooting the ball fairly well, we're not, we don't have the same rhythm that you would like to have offensively, but I think it's coming. I think it's interesting that, we're forcing a lot of turnovers with other teams, but we're not cashing in. I think that's an area we can get better at. The turning our steals and forced turnovers into points at the other end can improve. I would give us, for where we are at 6-2, I would give us B+ maybe as a team, A-. I don't know. We're not a perfect team by any means right now. I thought it was ironic that we finally had our entire team together the other night, and then I don't show up to coach, so I missed out on that opportunity, and who knows when the next one of those will be. But I'm happy with most of where we are, but I know, I think the good part is that our ceiling's really high. We're not close to it. So, sometimes when you look at your team early in the year and you go, geez, I don't know how much better we can get. That's a depressing feeling. It's uplifting to me to know that we can get a lot better.
And then just last thing for me, wanted to ask you about Ariel. Her numbers are looking really good so far, particularly her shooting percentages. Are there improvements you've seen in her game, or is it more the fact that she's got, more depth around her to kind of take the load off a little bit?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think she's put in the work. I think the biggest thing for her to figure out, it's a slow process. There's two parts actually. One, she's a shooter who's pretty good, even shooting against what we call a contested shot. But I think to eliminate some of the tougher shots and not pass up some of the easier ones. And I think the other one, she self-admittedly has said she's trying to kind of balance out, shooting the jump shot versus attacking the basket. And, that's going to be a constant work in progress for her, maybe for her whole career, because you can always get better in those areas. And so I think that's been a focus for her to figure out, how am I being played? What can I take advantage of? What can I make the defense pay for how they're playing me? And I think, that's an area where she's going to continue to get better. But right now, you're talking about somebody who's, at high numbers in a lot of areas for her. And I think that's really good.
Thank you.
Nathan?
Good afternoon, Coach T, sir. I had a question for you. Even though you weren't with us on Atlanta Friday, it was your 300th game coaching for the Washington Mystics. Just talk about that, getting to that feat in the time you've been here with the Mystics. Like, what are some of the things that you can take away during your time so far?
When I look in the mirror, I know I'm old. To coach 10 years for two different franchises is, doesn't get done by a lot of people. So I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to continue to try to put a good team on the floor, that our ownership group appreciates what we as a staff are doing. It's not just about me, that we've been able to sustain some success. I think it's one of those things. If you stay in it long enough, you get those kind of accomplishments. I don't know that there's, I'm glad that I've coached 300 games with an above 500 record than a below 500 record. So I think that's it more than anything, that we've had some sustained success. I think that I'm most proud that in the first 19 years in the W, I think we've been in the playoffs 15 or 16 of those 19 years. That means we've had some consistency. Beyond that, I really haven't thought about it. I didn't even know that number until somebody told me that the other day. And so I don't even think about it as any particular accomplishment. I think for me, getting a team to the playoffs as many times as you can, I think that's more a sign of good longevity success.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yep.
All right, we'll take one more from Rafiq.
Good evening, Coach. How you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
I want to ask you, like, earlier this week, Natasha gave like literally a powerful speech when talking about the shooting that took place, at least not just in the elementary school, which is pretty much a do-over in Sandy Hook Elementary School, and the shooting happened in Buffalo. You want to give your comments on the powerful speech Natasha gave earlier this week?
Well, I think she spoke for the whole locker room. It's a subject that we, as an organization and as a Mystics team, have addressed on too many occasions, unfortunately. I had an appearance this morning where we talked about that too, and I think she spoke for our whole team. Is that it's a senseless thing. The fact that our political structure has not allowed for us to enforce better rules. The part that struck me the most in this most recent one is that here is a person who at whatever age, 17 or 18, I forget, was able to go into a gun shop, legally buy 2 weapons that were clearly not, I'm going to go out and kill a deer weapon. And it was allowed to buy 385 rounds of ammunition, and red flags didn't go up. If I'm somebody that's, selling that stuff, what kind of moral courage do I have to not say something to somebody that I'm selling as a young person? I'm selling 385 rounds of ammunition to. That is incomprehensible to me. I think the other part that's incomprehensible is that the shooter put out stuff online that other people saw, knew was a red flag, and should be immediately sending signals to law enforcement or somebody that, hey, there's a possibility out here that we have somebody who's about to do something really crazy. And the signals are there and things didn't get done. We can all talk about the rules and the gun laws that need to be changed, but there also needs to be some common sense amongst a person like that's peers to step up and say something. For gun store owners, as much as you want to make a profit, and say something that you are selling weapons to a young person that that's not a simple thing to do. Somebody's buying 2 automatic weapons within a 4-day period, and that number of rounds of ammunition. There's nothing good that's going to come from that. And we are ignorant as a society if we don't think that people should step up and make a comment about that at the time and do something to prevent it right then while it's happening. Let alone the rules we need to change, and let alone this politicization of bowing down to the NRA and people like that. We have 3 prominent Republican people going to speak at the NRA convention this weekend. That's garbage. We've allowed those same people to do that for years and years, and we don't step in and do something about it. We're messed up.
And this week's literally the 2-year anniversary where George Floyd got kneed down, and the guy that kneed him down went through for like a 20+ year sentence. Like, do you see that as progress towards everything else you're trying to achieve when overcoming gun violence and police brutality?
That's the wrong message. That person can walk away on parole in a few years. It's garbage too. I mean, we've got so many things we need to solve, but the other problem is that we have all these divisions politically, and our country is split pretty much down the middle right now. But we're all supposed to be on the same team as far as looking out for each other. We can disagree on some spending policies or how we do taxes or everything else, but when it comes to human lives, the fact that we're divided still on that, there's no excuse for that. That's the part that cannot continue to happen. I might disagree with my neighbor down the street about a particular bill in Congress that may increase taxes by 2% or whatever it is. That's a whole lot different than that we're stonewalling about gun control or prison sentencing or anything else that is of consequence. At some point, we need to start looking out for each other, whether we agree on everything or not.
Appreciate the insight. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Owner of the straight head touch. since you kind of came in on all of that, and we know how much this stuff kind of really hits home for all of us, but especially as you are, what's the, last 48 hours been like for you?
Exhausting. Exhausting. We're just, I just came in and heard Coach speak, and we're just at a point where it's like, what are we doing? At what point is enough? At what point do we start to change? Right? I love what he said. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. This is who you are as a human being. This is who you are at your core. This is your morals and your values. This is your moral compass. This is right and wrong. The fact that Senate is trying to delay until after Memorial Day weekend. We're talking about the people that took an oath or trying to stall to be on family vacation as 18, 19 families just lost their loved ones. And that's not even counting Buffalo, not even 2 weeks ago. Do your job. The fact that we do have representatives going to speak at the NRA convention, it's fucking sick. Sick ass individuals. We voted in. It's been, this last 48 hours has been really hard. Trying to turn off my phone, but also utilize my platform. It's been really hard.
Let's do a little bit of basketball.
I'm not going to do any basketball.
No basketball?
No
Okay,
basketball.
that's cool. What is? Oops, go ahead.
No, how do you talk about basketball? How do you, we're out here preparing for Connecticut. And yes, it's our jobs. We get paid to do this, but how do you even talk about that with what's going on in our country? But this isn't even just gun control. This is women's rights. This is the LGBTQ plus community. This is systemic racism. This is, our prison reforms that still haven't happened. This is the foundation of America. I'm so tired of us pointing the finger at all these different countries and being like, oh, they suck, we're superior. We are trash. We are actual trash. And it's frustrating. It really, really is, because we can do, everything that we can. We can utilize our platforms. We can do marches. We can try to educate people. But if our representatives don't do their jobs, if they don't fulfill their oaths that they took to serve their communities, to not line their pockets, to not worry about their own power, what can we do? When you have corrupt ass individuals in those positions of power, what do you do? So it's at a point now where after my career, I will go into politics because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it being a political game. These are people's lives. We're constantly worried about power and money and all this other shit that doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter. Talking about lives, we're talking about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5-year-old kids. Talking about elderly folks just trying to go grab groceries in the only grocery store in their community. Because why? It's a lower economic community. It's a Black community. This was a minority school for the most part. It took the police 90 minutes to get inside that school. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. We still won't implement. We still won't implement legislation. We're a country that is cowards. We're full of cowards that only feel powerful when they hold a gun in their hand, when they have an AR-15. What the hell do you need that for? What do you need a semi-automatic weapon for? Believe in your right to bear arms. I believe in your right to protect your home. I'm a gun owner myself. I don't want to use it. I don't want to have to use it. The world we live in, I have to have it.
Next week they might be, I think I saw you just mentioned marches. I think they're going to do something here in DC. Again, I know you've taken on part of those things in the past. Any plans on doing anything like that? Or I know it's tough in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if we were here and I could be there, I would be there. Again, I'm gonna be able to do my job and still be able to lift my community and use my platform, because that's what God intended me to do. Bless me abundantly with this platform. So whatever I can do, I will continue to do. The Mystics will continue to do. The Wizards will continue to do, as we've been doing, because we've been holding our city down. I would like the Caps to step up. I would like other sports teams to step up. I would like the Nationals to step up. It's time. It's time that our white counterparts also step up. It's not just us Black athletes that need to step up and use our voice. It's also our white counterparts, our white male counterparts too, so that your voices are heard mostly.
Hey, Josh, we know the power of this league, the women in this league. Just to have that platform, like you said, for young women to feel confident to speak up. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, it's no secret. Women continue to save our country. Women continue to step up and save our country, to nurture our country, to nurture our kids, to help raise our kids. This is what we do. So if I can continue to utilize my platform, be a role model to the next person, to be an advocate, to speak up for their community, to speak up when things are wrong. It's something I always say, you don't have to be an athlete or a celebrity to have impact in your community. It starts at home, it starts in your friends group, it starts at school, it starts in your neighborhood. But this next generation, they get it, and they're gonna create the change. It's gonna be us millennials that change this country. It's a sad thing that we just kind of have to wait for the older generation to weed out and just fall off the face of the earth, because they've set us up for failure in a lot of different ways.
You kind of touched on it. More than the athlete, just as Natasha, the person, just with all this news, it's been hard. How have you just been taking care of yourself?
It's been really hard these last 2 days. Not only are we playing every 2-3 days, this is also my platform and who I am. So there's not much time to turn off, but when I am able to turn my phone off at nighttime, I really just try to self-care, just sit down, things that I like to do, and really just take care of myself. But there's not much time for it. We need immediate action, and so that calls on us to immediately use our platforms. And so that's just all I'm trying to do right now. And again, being in DC, we're the most powerful city in the world. We're in spitting distance of the capital and of all these representatives that need to do their jobs. So it does, a lot falls on our shoulders here to be the voice of the voiceless.
And just last, while you say voice of the voiceless, what can fans of this league do, or just what are some of your hopes that you can have people just rally behind you and really get this thing going?
Please educate yourselves. There's a lot of grassroots organizations that are here to help educate us about the systems that are set up to see us fail, that were intended to work as they do in this country. So first, educate yourself. B, we have a huge election coming up in November. We like to talk so much about our federal elections, but state and local are just as important. And not only about like your main representatives, you need to know who exactly is on the ballot. You need to know what they stand for, what they're campaigning for. And then once we vote them in, we need to uphold them and hold them accountable for what they promised us. So if I could do anything, just educate yourself, be prepared for these elections in November, and also call your representatives, not only state and local, but federally. Call your representatives. Tell them that you are tired. Tell them that you are exhausted. Tell them that it's time that they uphold the oath that they took to represent their communities, that it's time to implement real change in legislation so that this doesn't happen again. We can go back to Columbine when I was young, to Sandy Hook, to Buffalo, to now here in Texas. Like, we're making the same mistakes over and over again because of money and power. We're choosing money and power over lives. And again, that's not a Republican or a Democratic thing. That's who you are as a human being. Tired of us turning a blind eye to it and just oh, we sending thoughts and prayers. I'm tired of your thoughts and prayers. Those families of the victims are tired of your thoughts and prayers. You need to do your job. Our community needs to do their job in educating themselves and voting in the correct representation, and then our representation doing their jobs.
Natasha, you mentioned how can you talk about basketball right now? How can you, especially someone that takes the burden on probably more than most, be able to get up, do your job? Tuesday night you played, you're here again at practice. What mental fortitude, what else do you have that allows you to be able to be here?
I just go back on my faith. I really do think that God intended me to use this platform in much bigger ways than just bringing wins to the Mystics and championships that you see. And understanding that what do they say, heavy in the shoulders that weigh around. I took on this responsibility to be an advocate and to stand up. And I don't take that lightly. And whether it drains me or not, it's my responsibility. And it's really cool. We just went to Atlanta. We saw, MLK. We learned about him. We learned about his life. We saw where he was born. And it lit a fire back under me. And it's unfortunate that I'm here, but things like that put it back into perspective that one man that was 5'6" had the ability to change a nation. And so I hold that in the back of my head. I'm not saying that I'm going to be the savior, but I know that I can implement change. And so I'm just trying to do my job for a lot of people that look like me and that identify with the same things that I identify with.
All right, that's all the time we have for Tosh today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. That's always that stuff. Just so you know before we start.
Honestly, I didn't. I don't know. I'm just like I can't even speak like I'm not. Talking right now. This is tough. It's having these conversations about the same shit that happens over and over again. It's tiring, honestly. The fact that I just sat here and just started crying, it's just hearing you talk, like the fact that we have to continue to use our voice, So like I said, like this, I would say like lots of words. The country that we live in, we just have to do better. What else to say?
Do you anticipate maybe I know you're so new to the franchise and new to DC, but I'm sure you know that they're pretty active in a lot of different ways when it comes off their activism. Do you anticipate being involved now that you're here?
I feel like I should be more involved because to be honest, I feel like I've been quiet for too long, So that's just the person that I am. Like sometimes I just like to kind of fade away from the things that really don't involve me, I guess. But I know that with the person that I have to, as an African American woman, I have to speak up and be more involved. So, even to be quite honest, y'all, like speaking like in front of all of you guys, it gives me like some type of anxiety. That's why I'm like a quiet person. So I know like I should branch out more in that aspect, So I can't really say much. I really have to do it. So I mean, yeah.
thing that you'd be surprised with is a voice like yours could be maybe helpful for a lot of people. So is that something that you feel would be like a comfort, that your voice could be something that could be a positive thing for a lot
Oh
of people
yeah,
out
for
there?
sure. Yeah, especially like, if you feel like for myself, I feel like at times I don't even know what to say. And when I do say some things, I feel like it doesn't make sense. But like the fact that I'm doing it now, I feel like it should help others to still do it, you know? So, I mean, just like get in little groups, like have a conversation with your friends, with your classmates, with your family. I mean, just doing the little things, I feel like that helps a lot, you know? So.
What's different about the Mystics locker room when it comes to these type of conversations amongst other teams you've been a part of, whether it's college, whatever?
I mean, I feel like no matter where you are, you're the people that you're around, the team that you're around, you should always be, I don't really know what to say, comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, having those conversations that need to be said. But I feel like with this team, I mean, you could talk to anybody about what's been going on, whether it's like not just basketball, but what's going on in this society, in this world. So I feel like with every team, especially like back in college, I feel like we've always like been comfortable with having like uncomfortable conversations, you know. But I feel like it should happen more, you know. So.
Same thing I asked Natasha, just want to ask you how, just with everything that's going on, how have you just been taking care of yourself?
I've been having conversations with my family. We've been talking about it a lot. And I feel like with us talking about it as a family, we should be more involved. Like, what can we do to help, you know, to make this country better, you know? And yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people that just don't really want to have that conversation about what's going on. But I feel like if we do have those conversations, like I'm being like a broken record. Like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. But it's like it just has to happen, because if nothing happens, nothing's gonna change. The same shit is gonna be it's gonna happen over and over again, you know? So just keep having these conversations with your family, friends. Like, it just has to happen.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, you
guys.
good. Don't apologize. You good.
It's